The sun rises over a landscape that seems timeless, a panorama of undulating hills and dense forests stretching to the horizon. From the air, the hills appear ordinary, natural, the kind of shapes the eye has learned to expect from the slow patience of wind, rain, and centuries of erosion. Yet there is something unsettling about some of these formations, something that whispers of intention. They are too precise, too symmetrical, too geometric. They possess the subtle angles of design, the ordered contours of human thought, masquerading as the work of nature. They are mountains that do not belong entirely to the earth. They are perhaps monuments that have hidden themselves in plain sight. For centuries, these landscapes have deceived both the casual observer and the learned scholar. The hills have been mistaken for geological happenstance, their true form obscured beneath layers of vegetation and soil, softened by time. Grass and moss creep over the edges of walls, trees thrust their roots into the spaces between stones, and centuries of rain have worn the sharp edges of human construction into gentle slopes. What was once a temple, a platform, a pyramid now reads as a hill, a natural rise, a familiar shape that the mind does not question. Yet beneath this veneer of ordinariness, there are stories written in stone, whispers of human ambition, labor, and reverence, waiting for those who know how to listen. In the highlands of Mexico, near the bustling city of Puebla, one such hill rises modestly above the surrounding terrain. Locals have known it for generations, but few have ever realized its true scale or purpose. To the casual eye, it is just a gentle grass-covered mound, crowned by a colonial church, a meeting of the old and the new. But beneath the surface lies the Great Pyramid of Cholula, a structure that dwarfs even the most famous pyramids of Egypt by volume. Its size is staggering. From above, the contours of the hill betray only a fraction of what exists below, because centuries of mud brick construction have been absorbed by the earth itself. Nature has conspired to hide it, and humans, unwittingly, have contributed, building atop it and leaving it undisturbed for generations. The story of Cholula is not just one of construction, it is a story of concealment, of a civilization that left its mark in a form that time itself would fold into the landscape. Half a world away, in the dense, humid forests of West Java, a different kind of hill draws the attention of those willing to question what is ordinary. Gunung Padang rises from the earth, its terraced slopes punctuated by stones that glint in the sunlight, hints of something more structured beneath the green mantle. For centuries, it too was assumed to be a natural hill, a geological curiosity. Yet careful observation, coupled with the technology of the modern age, revealed something extraordinary. Terraces, stone alignments, and beneath them, layers of construction that extend deeper than the eye can see. What had seemed like a gentle rise was a labyrinth of human effort, buried beneath the accumulated weight of centuries, waiting for discovery. Unlike the exposed pyramids of the Nile, Gunung Padang had hidden its human origins beneath foliage and sediment, testing the assumptions of those who believed monumental architecture must announce itself to the sky. The process by which these hills become invisible is subtle but relentless. Wind and water smooth the sharp angles, depositing soil in depressions and carrying sediment over terraces. Plant life grows quickly in tropical climates, rooting into walls, stabilizing the ground while also hiding its true form. In Cholula, the mud bricks of the pyramid absorbed rain and decay, blending seamlessly with the hill. In Java, layers of volcanic ash and soil cover terraces and pillars, masking the human hand beneath a veil of geology. Time does not destroy these monuments so much as disguise them, turning the once proud testimony of a civilization into an object that the mind instinctively categorizes as natural. Yet even in concealment, they leave clues. The subtle symmetry of slopes, the terraces that seem out of place in a natural hill, the occasional exposure of stone where erosion or landslide reveals a corner. These are hints that call for closer inspection. For those trained to read the landscape, the earth itself becomes a text, and hidden beneath these hills is a story of ingenuity, labor, and culture. A simple rise in the terrain can transform into a complex puzzle of terraces, tunnels, and chambers when approached with curiosity and care. Modern technology has begun to unmask these hidden monuments. Aerial photography, satellite imaging, and ground-penetrating surveys reveal patterns invisible from the ground. LiDAR, with its ability to see through dense vegetation, can sketch terraces and alignments that were once thought lost to memory. Even where the human eye sees only green and brown, the data reveals angles and contours that suggest design, purpose, and deliberate construction. The hills that once deceived us now begin to yield their secrets. There is an almost cinematic quality to this revelation. Imagine flying above a landscape that seems ordinary, only to see through the lens of technology the clear outline of terraces, the precise angles of walls, the evidence of centuries of human effort concealed beneath grass and soil. What looked like a gentle rise becomes an enormous pyramid, sprawling beneath the surface, the labor of generations hidden beneath the earth itself. And yet, for all the clarity technology provides, there remains a mystery. How many hills in the world, which to our eyes appear natural, are in fact monuments waiting to be rediscovered? How many stories have been lost to vegetation, erosion, and centuries of human inattention? The idea is both humbling and thrilling. Civilization, once thought to announce itself boldly, may often have chosen, whether consciously or by accident, to hide in plain sight. These hills, these disguised mountains, are more than just architectural feats. They are records of human ambition, of the desire to build, to create, and to endure. They ask us to reconsider our assumptions, to look again at the world and wonder what might be hidden, waiting for the careful eye, the persistent mind, and the patient hand to uncover it. As the light shifts across the landscape, shadows reveal subtle angles and terraces that were invisible at noon. The wind carries the scent of earth and vegetation, the quiet testimony of centuries. In these places, time has acted not as a destroyer but as a cloak, softening the edges of human design and challenging us to see beyond the obvious. Each hill, each slope, may hold within it the work of countless hands, the devotion of generations, and a story that has survived in silence, waiting for discovery. And so, we begin the journey, questioning what we think we know about the world's mountains and hills. What if the landscapes we trust as natural conceal secrets older than our histories, older than our memories, older than our understanding? What if hidden beneath our feet lie monuments so vast, so precise, that they rival the most famous structures of human civilization, yet have remained invisible to us, camouflaged by the slow patience of time and nature? The earth itself holds its secrets closely, offering glimpses only to those who are willing to look deeper, to listen to the subtle geometry of slopes, to question what is ordinary and imagine what might be extraordinary. The hills rise, the forests sway, and the mountains wait. Some are natural, shaped by wind and water. Others perhaps have been shaped by human hands, monumental and deliberate, yet hidden so completely that they have become part of the landscape itself. Somewhere, beneath the soil and greenery, beneath centuries of weather and erosion, lie the pyramids that look like mountains, silent and patient, waiting for discovery, waiting to remind us that what we see is only a fraction of what has been built, dreamed and endured across the ages. The plain around the city of Cholula stretches wide under a sky that seems endless, a carpet of green and gold interrupted by occasional hills and the distant line of mountains. Among these rises a modest mound, a gentle slope that could be dismissed at a glance as just another feature of the landscape. Locals have known it for generations, spoken of it in passing, but never questioned its origins. The hill is crowned now by a colonial church, a whitewashed building with red tiles that gleam in the sunlight, a landmark visible for miles. From this angle, the hill seems small, ordinary, even comforting. But beneath its grassy exterior lies a story that defies what we think we know about scale, ambition, and human endurance. For centuries, the Great Pyramid of Cholula was hidden in plain sight. Unlike the sharp, exposed pyramids of Egypt, which assert their presence with angular precision, Cholula's pyramid was absorbed by the earth. Mud-brick construction, layered over generations, gradually merged with the soil and vegetation. Rain washed over the slopes, filling depressions with sediment, while grasses, shrubs, and trees took root, their growth a quiet collaborator in the pyramid's concealment. By the time Europeans arrived in the Americas, the pyramid had already assumed the appearance of a natural hill, its contours softened and its monumental scale disguised. Even the indigenous people who lived nearby sometimes failed to recognize the scale of what lay beneath their feet. The Great Pyramid is astonishing in its dimensions. Measured by volume, it surpasses even the Great Pyramid of Giza. Yet this fact remained unnoticed for centuries because the pyramid was never intended to confront the sky like its Egyptian counterpart. Instead, it rose gradually, layer upon layer, as successive generations of builders added terraces, platforms, and structures. Each phase of construction blended with the previous, creating a form that was monumental in size but gentle in its outward appearance. The top of the mound, where the colonial church now sits, was once the summit of sacred spaces, where altars and temples marked the religious heart of a civilization. Over time, those spaces were swallowed by soil and greenery, the ceremonial stone replaced by layers of earth, and the pyramid became a quiet giant disguised by nature. Archaeologists were drawn to the site in the modern era by hints of what might lie beneath. Local lore suggested strange walls and chambers within the hill, and the subtle angles of the slopes hinted at deliberate design. Explorations began with small excavations, but it was the construction of an extensive network of tunnels that revealed the true extent of the pyramid. Passageways twist and turn beneath the surface, opening onto chambers lined with stone, altars carved with care, and remnants of ceremonial offerings. Every corridor, every chamber, tells a story of labor, devotion, and a society capable of shaping the landscape on a scale few could imagine. The layers within the pyramid are a record of human history. The earliest constructions, made of sun-dried mud brick, form a foundation that reaches deep into the earth. Above them, later civilizations added terraces and platforms, refining the shape and expanding its footprint. The result is a pyramid not singular in time, but a monument to centuries of effort, a palimpsest of culture and devotion. Archaeologists can trace the growth of the structure, understanding how each generation contributed to its expansion while remaining hidden beneath the overgrowth of centuries. The pyramid is both a symbol of human ambition and a testament to the subtlety with which humans can shape the environment, leaving a structure so vast that it disappears into the natural contours of the earth. Cholula's pyramid challenges assumptions about what monumental architecture looks like. The very idea of a pyramid suggests visibility, boldness, a confrontation with the sky. Yet here the pyramid was content to remain veiled, asserting its presence not through towering angles, but through its immense mass and the ingenuity of its construction. The hill that travelers see today is only a hint of what lies beneath, a gentle rise betraying the vast labor concealed within. Nature has collaborated in this disguise, with vegetation and erosion softening every edge, leaving the mound almost indistinguishable from its surroundings. The discovery of the pyramid's scale required careful observation and technological tools. Ground surveys revealed anomalies in the slope, patterns that could not be explained by geology alone. Exploratory tunnels allowed archaeologists to verify the layers of construction, revealing spaces that had survived centuries of decay and natural overgrowth. The sheer volume of the pyramid became clear only when the combined measurements of these layers were understood, a realization that transformed the hill from a simple geographic feature into one of the largest man-made structures in the world. Walking through the tunnels beneath Cholula, one can sense the complexity of the society that built it. Carvings on stone altars depict deities and ceremonial motifs, echoing the spiritual life of a civilization that placed its sacred spaces not in immediate view, but within the quiet heart of the earth. Each layer of mud brick represents labor, planning, and knowledge of materials, evidence that this was not a single construction project, but an evolving enterprise that shaped the landscape over centuries. The pyramid is simultaneously a work of art, an architectural marvel, and a monument to human persistence, surviving hidden beneath soil and plant life for generations. The phenomenon of hidden pyramids is not unique to Cholula, but here it is especially dramatic because of the scale. Other civilizations constructed monumental architecture to command attention. Cholula's pyramid suggests that monumental intent can be subtle, blending with the environment, and that human achievement can sometimes thrive in invisibility. It also demonstrates the power of nature to collaborate with history, masking the traces of past civilizations in soil, vegetation, and erosion. Over centuries, the pyramid's edges were softened, terraces smoothed, and sharp angles lost. What began as a deliberate design was transformed into a landscape feature, a hill that could be admired without recognition of its true origins. Modern visitors see only a fraction of the hidden architecture. Above ground, the church remains a marker of history, a continuation of the human presence on this site. Below, tunnels extend deep into the pyramid, revealing chambers, altars, and the meticulous work of countless hands. Each excavation, each study, uncovers more of the story, reminding us that human ambition does not always announce itself boldly. Sometimes it waits, patient and quiet, hidden beneath the very earth that it shaped.
In exploring Cholula, we begin to understand that the scale of human creativity can be both monumental and secretive. It challenges our assumptions about visibility, permanence, and the interaction between nature and construction. A hill, gentle and unassuming, can be the repository of centuries of labor, culture, and belief, and it can endure hidden, almost invisible, until careful observation reveals its true character.
The landscape around Cholula has been shaped as much by humans as by natural forces. The pyramid, now largely hidden, reminds us that civilization's mark can be subtle and that some of the greatest achievements of the past may have been waiting quietly beneath our feet, concealed by time, vegetation, and the inexorable patience of the earth. To gaze upon the hill today is to see not just a feature of the plain, but a vast monument of human endeavor, one that challenges us to question what we perceive as natural and to imagine the hidden potential within the landscapes we think we know. In the heart of Puebla, a hill rises like any other on the vast Mexican plain, a gentle slope dotted with vegetation and crowned by the gleaming white walls of a colonial church. To the casual observer, it is a serene landmark, a quiet feature of the landscape. Yet this hill is no ordinary formation. Beneath its surface lies Tlachihualtepetl, the man-made mountain, a name that hints at the extraordinary secret it conceals. Unlike pyramids that dominate the skyline with angular certainty, Cholula's pyramid was designed to blend with its environment, to grow slowly over time, layer upon layer, until it became both monument and camouflage, a synthesis of human endeavor and natural processes. The size of Tlachihualtepetl is staggering. Its base extends more than 4 times that of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and its volume surpasses any single structure built in ancient Egypt. Yet, because its surface was softened by centuries of mud brick erosion and the rapid growth of tropical vegetation, its true scale remained hidden for generations. The terraces, once sharp-edged and ceremonial, were worn down by rain and the relentless spread of grasses and trees, transforming a bold architectural statement into a landscape feature easily mistaken for a natural hill. Even the Spanish colonizers, upon arriving in the 16th century, built a church on its summit, unaware of the monumental structure beneath their feet. Their presence became another layer in the pyramid's history, a human addition that masked its prehistoric origins further, ensuring that the man-made mountain would remain secret for centuries. Tlaquehualtepetl was not the product of a single era or a single culture. Archaeological evidence shows multiple phases of construction, each reflecting the ambition and ritual practices of successive civilizations. The earliest builders laid broad platforms of sun-dried mud brick, creating a foundation that was both functional and symbolic, anchoring the community's spiritual life to a monumental center. Over centuries, new layers were added, terraces were expanded, and temples were constructed atop previous platforms. Each generation contributed to the pyramid, not merely as an architectural endeavor, but as a cultural statement, a way to connect with ancestors, gods, and the cosmos itself. The result is a layered edifice that reflects centuries of ritual, labor, and evolving artistic expression, a testament to human persistence and ingenuity. The concealment of the pyramid is as remarkable as its construction. In the humid climate of central Mexico, mud brick erodes rapidly. Rain washes the surfaces, creating gentle slopes that mirror natural hills. Vegetation takes root quickly, grasses and shrubs filling in depressions and softening edges, trees adding further camouflage. What might have been a stark ceremonial pyramid in its early days transformed over centuries into a verdant mound, indistinguishable from the surrounding terrain. Human activity, both intentional and incidental, contributed to its concealment. Farming, small settlements, and later colonial constructions altered the surface, merging the pyramid seamlessly into the broader landscape. By the time modern archaeologists arrived, the hill had become a perfect illusion, a man-made mountain that no longer advertised its artificial origin. The discovery of Tlaquehualtepetl's true nature required patience, ingenuity, and careful observation. Early explorers noticed anomalies in the slope, subtle lines and depressions that hinted at something more than a natural formation. Excavations began cautiously, revealing layers of mud brick and stone that extended deep into the hill. As tunnels were dug, chambers emerged, some filled with artifacts, others with carved altars and remnants of ritual offerings. Each passage and chamber was a fragment of a civilization's story, preserved beneath centuries of soil and vegetation. The pyramid's vast scale only became apparent when the dimensions of the tunnels, terraces, and foundations were measured and reconstructed, showing a structure that dwarfed many of the more famous monuments of the ancient world. What is striking about Tlaquehualtepetl is the way it blurs the line between nature and human construction. From above, it appears as a gentle rise, a feature formed by erosion or tectonic activity. Only through careful study can the truth be discerned. This is not a natural hill, but a testament to human ingenuity, designed to endure even when hidden. Its layers tell of societies that understood both the spiritual and practical significance of monumental architecture. They built not merely to impress the eye, but to create enduring spaces of ritual and remembrance, using materials that would inevitably merge with the environment if left exposed, and in doing so, ensuring that their work could survive in secret for generations. The construction techniques reveal sophisticated planning. Mud brick terraces were carefully aligned, foundations reinforced, and platforms designed to support successive layers without collapse. Archaeologists have identified phases that span centuries, showing a continuity of knowledge and adaptation to both social and environmental changes. The pyramid was not static. It evolved, responding to the needs of its builders, their spiritual practices, and the shifting topography around it. Each layer was integrated with the previous, creating a structure that was as much a record of human culture as it was an architectural feat. The cultural significance of Tlaquehualtepetl cannot be overstated. It served as a focal point for ceremonies, gatherings, and religious observances, a spiritual heart for a complex society. The terraces and platforms were stages for offerings, rituals, and expressions of cosmological belief. Over time, as later civilizations built atop older foundations, the pyramid became a palimpsest of cultural memory, each generation leaving its imprint while preserving the work of ancestors. Even as erosion and vegetation concealed its form, the sacred purpose of the site endured, encoded in its structure and the artifacts buried within. The Spanish conquest added a layer of human camouflage. By placing a church on the summit, colonizers unknowingly helped preserve the underlying pyramid. The whitewashed walls became a visual landmark, drawing attention away from the mound's scale, while the colonial presence altered the landscape in ways that further integrated the ancient structure into its surroundings. The man-made mountain was thus doubly hidden, beneath soil and vegetation, and beneath centuries of human history and reinterpretation. Modern technology has allowed archaeologists to study Tlaxihualtepetl in new ways. Ground-penetrating radar, aerial imaging, and careful excavation have revealed terraces, tunnels, and chambers that would otherwise remain invisible. Patterns of construction, erosion, and overgrowth can now be mapped, showing how nature and human activity intertwined to mask the pyramid's true scale. Each discovery reinforces the sense that what appears ordinary on the surface can conceal extraordinary ambition and achievement beneath. The story of Cholula challenges assumptions about visibility, scale, and human endeavor. It suggests that monumental architecture need not dominate the landscape with stark angles to impress or endure. A structure can hide, blend, and survive quietly, allowing nature and time to soften its presence. Tlaxihualtepetl is a reminder that human ambition often operates in subtle ways, that monumental work can be both hidden and enduring, and that the landscape itself can become a collaborator in preserving history. As one walks around the gentle slopes of Cholula, it is difficult to imagine the vast pyramid beneath. Yet, with every step, every examination, the hidden story begins to emerge. Layers of mud brick, terraces, tunnels, and chambers testify to centuries of labor and devotion. The man-made mountain stands as both a monument to ancient ingenuity and a prompt to reconsider what we assume about the world beneath our feet. The hill is not merely a feature of the terrain. It is a record of human persistence, patience, and creativity, quietly awaiting recognition beneath the cover of soil and green. The revelation of Tlaxihualtepetl opens the imagination to other possibilities. If a structure of such scale could remain hidden in plain sight, how many other pyramids, temples, and monumental constructions lie beneath hills, forests, and plains around the world? Cholula suggests that the Earth itself can conceal human achievement for centuries, and that what seems natural may be, in fact, profoundly artificial. The man-made mountain challenges us to look more closely at the landscape, to question what has been overlooked, and to consider that the legacy of human civilization may be far larger and more secretive than we ever imagined. Subscribe to our channel if you love the content. On the western coast of Java, a gentle rise of land stretches across the horizon, cloaked in greenery and dotted with rough-hewn stones jutting from the soil. At first glance, Gunung Padang seems unremarkable, a terraced hill, modest in scale, yet irregular enough to pique curiosity. Locals and casual travelers alike walk its slopes, often unaware of the extraordinary mystery hidden beneath the surface. Unlike the grand monuments of Egypt or Mesoamerica, which proclaim their presence with sheer faces and dramatic angles, Gunung Padang wears a veil of subtlety, a mountain that conceals the depth of its ambition beneath layers of earth, vegetation, and centuries of neglect. The first hints that something extraordinary lay beneath the soil came from careful observations of the hill's terraces and stone arrangements. Unlike natural formations, the terraces exhibit geometric precision, forming steps that are uniform in height and width, aligned in patterns that suggest deliberate design. Interspersed among the terraces are clusters of roughly squared basalt pillars, weathered and worn by the tropical climate, yet placed with an intent that hints at human agency. Archaeologists noticed that these stones, arranged in rows and grids, could not be random. They formed the visible tip of a structure that extended far beyond what was exposed. Remote sensing and geophysical surveys have since revealed a far more astonishing picture. Ground-penetrating radar, electrical resistivity tomography, and seismic tomography have detected layers of stonework descending deep beneath the hill's surface, extending tens of meters into the ground. Some of these layers are remarkably regular, suggesting floors, walls, and terraces built by human hands. Carbon dating of organic material trapped between layers, along with other geological analysis, has led some researchers to hypothesize that Gunung Padang could predate the Great Pyramids of Egypt, pushing the origins of large-scale construction back by several millennia. The idea that such an immense structure could remain hidden beneath a hill, unrecognized for centuries, challenges conventional narratives about the emergence of early civilization. Excavation and study of Gunung Padang reveal that the hill is more than a natural mound augmented by stone placement. It is a layered architectural marvel. The topmost terrace, visible to the eye, is covered in basalt pillars set upright, forming a rhythmic pattern that creates a ceremonial space. But beneath this surface, the terraces continue, interspersed with massive blocks, channels, and stone alignments that suggest careful planning. The scale of the construction is immense. Estimates suggest that the underlying structure could cover several hectares, dwarfing contemporary settlements and ceremonial sites of its era. Each layer represents a phase of construction, a testament to generations of labor and knowledge passed down, possibly for thousands of years. One of the most striking aspects of Gunung Padang is the interplay between human construction and natural processes. Unlike the Great Pyramid of Cholula, which was largely buried by mud brick erosion and vegetation, Gunung Padang has survived as a combination of natural hill and artificial monument. The basalt stones, dense and resilient, have resisted the tropical climate, yet soil accumulation and plant overgrowth have softened the outlines of terraces and walls. The hill appears natural, yet every measurement, every subsurface scan reveals a precise human hand at work. In this way, Gunung Padang is both a mountain and a pyramid, a hybrid of nature and construction, ancient and enduring. Scholars have debated the age and origin of the site. Some argue that the uppermost terraces date to around 2500 BCE, consistent with early megalithic activity in Southeast Asia, while others suggest that deeper layers could be far older, potentially 5,000 to 10,000 years before present. If the older estimates are correct, Gunung Padang could predate not only Egypt's pyramids, but also the earliest known monumental architecture in the world. The implications are profound. They suggest the existence of organized societies capable of large-scale construction long before conventional history places them. The layering of the site indicates a continuity of cultural practice, where successive generations expanded and modified the hill, preserving earlier work even as they added new terraces, chambers, and ceremonial spaces. The methods used to study Gunung Padang combine traditional archaeology with cutting-edge technology. Geophysical surveys detect hidden layers without disturbing the site, while excavations reveal construction techniques and the arrangement of basalt pillars. Patterns of erosion and sedimentation help archaeologists understand how the hill has evolved over millennia, how soil and vegetation have altered its appearance, and how the visible terraces relate to the buried architecture beneath. Each discovery deepens the mystery. This is a monument that has survived not because it dominates the landscape, but because it hides within it, quietly defying time and natural forces. The cultural significance of Gunung Padang, while less documented than that of Cholula, is equally compelling. Local legend attributes sacred qualities to the hill, and the terraces may have served ceremonial or ritual purposes. The alignment of stone pillars and terraces suggests an understanding of geometry, astronomy, or both, indicating that the builders possessed advanced knowledge that informed both design and placement. The very act of constructing a multi-layered pyramid-like hill reflects a sophisticated social organization capable of mobilizing labor, planning over generations, and sustaining cultural memory across centuries. What is remarkable about Gunung Padang is the way it challenges assumptions about visibility and scale. The structure does not announce itself with towering faces or exposed stonework. It relies on subtlety, camouflage, and endurance. Nature and human construction intertwine, creating a monument that is at once apparent and invisible, ordinary and extraordinary. Its terraces, channels, and stone alignments offer clues to the past, yet the full extent of the hill's architecture remains partially hidden, awaiting further study. Gunung Padang exemplifies a broader phenomenon, that monumental human construction can be obscured by vegetation, sediment, and time. Just as Cholula was swallowed by soil and greenery, Gunung Padang's scale and complexity were overlooked for centuries. It illustrates how the Earth itself can become a repository of human history, concealing vast structures until technology and careful observation reveal their existence. This interplay of concealment and discovery gives the site a cinematic quality, a layered narrative of human ambition entwined with natural processes. The site also invites comparisons with other hidden pyramids and monuments around the world, from the verdant slopes of Mesoamerica to the misty hills of Southeast Asia. It raises questions about how many other structures lie undiscovered, cloaked by soil and vegetation, waiting for exploration. Gunung Padang demonstrates that monumental architecture does not always present itself in obvious forms. It can endure quietly, hidden in plain sight, while preserving knowledge, labor, and cultural memory across millennia. As researchers continue to study the site, the sense of scale and ambition becomes increasingly clear. The terraces extend across hectares, the stone layers descend deep into the earth, and the alignment of pillars hints at purposes beyond the ceremonial or structural. Gunung Padang is more than a hill. It is a palimpsest of human endeavor, a monument layered with time, effort, and ingenuity. Each stone, each terrace, each hidden chamber contributes to a story that has survived thousands of years, even as the hill above masks its true identity. The mystery of Gunung Padang captures the imagination because it demonstrates how human construction can merge seamlessly with the natural world, creating a form that is at once architectural and geological. It encourages a reconsideration of what we perceive as natural, what we overlook, and what might remain hidden in landscapes across the globe. This ancient terraced hill on Java is not merely a curiosity, it is evidence of human ambition that, though veiled by time and soil, has endured, challenging our understanding of early civilization and monumental construction. What do you think about this mystery? Share with us in the comments section. Across the world, landscapes are layered with time. Mountains erode, valleys fill, forests reclaim open spaces, and rivers carry sediments that slowly blanket human constructions. In some cases, what was once a monumental edifice built with careful precision and enormous labor becomes all but invisible to the casual observer. Cholula in Mexico and Gunung Padang in Java are prime examples of this quiet transformation. At first glance, they appear to be ordinary hills. Only when archaeologists study them closely does the extraordinary reveal itself. Beneath grass, soil, and centuries of growth, entire civilizations etched their presence into the earth. Erosion is a silent architect, sculpting the edges of stone and mud brick. Rainwater seeps through layers of soil, slowly washing away fine sediment, rounding sharp edges and softening terraces. Wind carries dust and debris, filling cracks and hollow spaces, and volcanic ash in regions like central Mexico or Java settles over structures in thick layers, protecting them in some ways, but also obscuring their original shape. The result is that the geometry of the original construction, the sharp angles, the flat terraces, the monumental steps, becomes blurred. Where once a pyramid rose with a deliberate slope, there is now a gentle incline, smooth and natural in appearance, a silhouette that convinces the eye it belongs to nature rather than human hands. Vegetation accelerates this disguise. In tropical and subtropical climates, grass and shrubs establish quickly on disturbed soil, followed by trees whose roots intertwine with walls and fill cavities. The process of succession creates a living camouflage, a green blanket concealing the hard lines beneath. In Cholula, thick jungle growth once hid the Great Pyramid's full scale, and in Gunung Padang, moss and dense forest on the upper terraces masked the extent of the basalt layers below. Over generations, locals may walk past these features, recognizing only hills, never imagining that beneath them lies a carefully engineered monument. Even small plants can dramatically alter a hill's contours. Their roots stabilize loose soil, preventing it from washing away, but also gradually changing the slopes, merging human design with natural form. Time adds another layer of concealment. Mud brick and earthen construction, like that used in Cholula, is especially vulnerable. Exposed to seasonal rains, bricks soften, crumble, and compact, gradually lowering the height of terraces and steps. Basalt or granite, as in Gunung Padang, resists weathering, but even these stones can be buried under sediment, leaves, and volcanic deposits. Centuries of sediment accumulation can add meters of material, enough to render even enormous structures invisible. In arid regions, wind-blown sand can produce similar effects, smoothing over edges and filling in depressions, leaving only the barest trace of original human design. The combination of erosion, sedimentation, and vegetation is what allows a pyramid to hide in plain sight. Cholula's Great Pyramid, despite being the largest by volume in the world, sat for centuries under a layer of earth and grass so thick that even European colonizers mistook it for a simple hill. Only when tunnels were bored into its interior did archaeologists realize the immensity of the construction beneath. Gunung Padang, layered with massive basalt pillars, has remained partially hidden despite its stone durability, because terraces blend with natural inclines and dense vegetation conceals the edges of each level. In both cases, the natural processes of time and ecology have erased the immediate visual signature of monumental human activity. Rediscovery relies on more than intuition. It requires listening to the landscape in ways the human eye cannot. Remote sensing techniques such as ground-penetrating radar, electrical resistivity tomography, and magnetometry allow scientists to detect differences in density, composition, and structure beneath the surface. Where erosion has masked angles and sediment has filled cavities, these tools reveal the skeleton of the original construction. At Gunung Padang, geophysical studies have shown multiple stone layers extending tens of meters deep, while surface terraces hint at what lies below. In Cholula, tunnels carved by archaeologists revealed the original mud brick walls, staircases, and chambers, confirming that what seemed to be a hill was in fact a monumental pyramid. Airborne surveys, such as LiDAR scanning, have become invaluable in dense forested regions. Lasers fired from planes can penetrate gaps in the canopy, bouncing off the ground to create precise digital maps. This method has uncovered hidden platforms, terraces, and even entire city layouts in places once thought pristine wilderness. Though not used on Cholula's pyramid, LiDAR in other regions demonstrates how technology can strip away vegetation digitally, revealing geometry long obscured. These tools transform hills into readable archives, translating subtle variations in soil, stone, and vegetation into evidence of human planning. Erosion and vegetation also tell a story in reverse. By studying soil layers and sediment accumulation, archaeologists can reconstruct not only what was built, but how it changed over time. Volcanic ash, for example, may cover a terrace built centuries before, preserving it as a snapshot of construction techniques. Similarly, erosion patterns reveal the direction and volume of water flow, helping researchers understand how ancient builders adapted their work to the environment. In this way, concealment becomes a historical record in itself, documenting centuries of natural and human interaction. The camouflage is sometimes so complete that human memory forgets entirely. Legends may persist of sacred hills, but their true scale and function vanish. In Cholula, the Spanish built a church atop the pyramid, unaware of the immense structure beneath, further blending human activity with natural form. In Java, Gunung Padang's terraces were long considered mere hill formations until careful survey and local law drew attention to irregularities. Across the globe, hills that seemed innocuous may hide enormous pyramids, city platforms, or ceremonial centers. Ultimately, the phenomenon of hidden pyramids underscores a fundamental truth. Monumental architecture does not need to rise above the landscape to endure. Through time, nature softens edges, sediment buries foundations, and vegetation cloaks human intervention, but these structures survive, awaiting rediscovery. Their concealment is a product of both environmental forces and human material choices, demonstrating the interplay between design, climate, and the relentless passage of centuries. Erosion, vegetation, and sedimentation are not enemies of human history. They are collaborators in concealment. They allow massive constructions to endure invisibly, teaching future generations about patience, adaptability, and resilience. By reading the landscape with tools that sense what eyes cannot, scientists reveal the architecture hidden beneath hills and plains, confirming that beneath seemingly natural forms lie extraordinary monuments. What emerges is a new understanding of time and perception. A hill may not be a hill, a mountain may not be a mountain. Within gentle slopes and forested rises, human ambition and labor may lie quietly preserved, masked by the forces of nature. Each hidden pyramid, from Cholula to Gunung Padang, is a testament to this delicate balance, an enduring dialogue between human creation and environmental concealment, waiting for technology and curiosity to uncover its secrets. Across dense forests and overgrown plains, the earth holds its secrets in silence. Centuries of concealment, erosion, and vegetation create layers of mystery that traditional excavation alone struggles to unravel. Modern archaeology has turned to technology to listen where eyes and hands cannot reach, to sense what has been buried for generations without disturbing the delicate balance of the environment. Tools like ground-penetrating radar, electrical resistivity tomography, seismic imaging, and airborne LiDAR scanning have transformed the study of landscapes, allowing researchers to see beneath vegetation, soil, and sediment to uncover the geometry of civilizations long hidden. Ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, is among the most widely used techniques. By sending electromagnetic pulses into the ground and measuring the reflected signals, GPR can reveal variations in soil density, the presence of stonework, and even voids and chambers beneath the surface. At Gunung Padang in Java, GPR surveys have indicated multiple deep layers of megalithic stonework extending far below the visible terraces. Each reflected pulse becomes a map of the hidden architecture, revealing the extent of construction that centuries of vegetation and sediment had obscured. Patterns emerge that are difficult to interpret without the context of historical knowledge and careful survey, but they hint at deliberate planning, construction phases, and monumental scale. Electrical resistivity tomography, or ERT, complements GPR by mapping how soil conducts electricity. Stonework and compacted surfaces resist the passage of electric current differently than loose soil or sediment. By measuring these differences across grids on the landscape, researchers create three-dimensional models of subsurface structures. At Gunung Padang, ERT studies have revealed extensive layers of dense stone that may extend tens of meters below the surface, providing evidence of multiple construction periods. Even when erosion has softened terraces or vegetation has cloaked edges, these tools allow the team to read the memory of the land itself. Seismic tomography, though more commonly associated with geophysics, has also found a place in archaeology. By analyzing how sound waves travel through the Earth, scientists can detect anomalies in density and structure that hint at hidden chambers or foundations. Where soft sediment has buried stone or volcanic ash has altered the composition of the soil, seismic waves bounce differently, offering a glimpse of what lies beneath. In combination with GPR and ERT, these methods create a multi-layered understanding, allowing researchers to distinguish between natural geological formations and human-made structures. Airborne LiDAR scanning has been revolutionary in forested and vegetated regions. By sending rapid pulses of laser light from aircraft toward the ground, LiDAR can penetrate gaps in the canopy and measure the distance to the terrain below with centimeter-level precision. Thousands of points collected per second generate a dense map of the landscape, highlighting terraces, platforms, and linear features that may be invisible to the naked eye. While Gunung Padang has been surveyed extensively with ground-based technologies, LiDAR has revealed similarly camouflaged structures in Mesoamerica, Central America, and Southeast Asia, proving that dense vegetation is no barrier to rediscovery. LiDAR's power lies in its ability to virtually strip away the forest, exposing the hidden topography of hills that may have been pyramids or ceremonial platforms all along.
These technologies do more than locate hidden stones. They reveal the processes of construction and transformation over time. By combining readings from GPR, ERT, seismic waves, and LiDAR, archaeologists can identify construction layers, staircases, and terraces, distinguishing human design from natural formations. At Gunung Padang, the identification of deeper stone layers raises the possibility that the visible terraces are only the tip of a massive multi-phase construction. The outer surfaces, now covered by centuries of soil and vegetation, are merely a veneer over an ancient skeleton of stones laid by hands long gone.
Technology also allows a non-invasive approach, preserving fragile sites while still mapping their interiors. Unlike early excavations that risked damaging mud brick structures or displacing sediment that held clues to past environments, these methods read the land without tearing it apart. This careful listening respects both the archaeological record and the ecological context, revealing patterns invisible to the human eye. Even slight differences in soil density or vegetation height can hint at walls, platforms, or buried terraces, and when repeated across large areas, these subtle cues assemble a coherent picture of the original design. Rediscovery through these methods transforms the landscape into a narrative. Each pulse of radar, each laser reflection, each resistivity map is a page in the story of construction, abandonment, concealment, and eventual revelation. The layers of earth and vegetation, which once served as camouflage, now become a record of time passing, of civilizations rising and falling, of human ambition merging with the slow work of nature. Where a hill once seemed ordinary, instruments reveal terraces, chambers, and walls aligned with deliberate intent. Where the eye saw only randomness, the land speaks in structured signals, patterns of geometry and alignment that confirm human hands at work. These tools have proven essential not only for known sites but also for identifying new possibilities. Across the globe, researchers are now surveying hills and rises that have long been assumed natural. Variations in soil density, hidden terraces, or the faint echo of stone through radar suggest the presence of lost pyramids or platforms yet to be excavated. In this sense, every forested hill or sediment-covered mound becomes a candidate for exploration, an opportunity to question assumptions about what is natural and what is crafted. The experience of using these instruments is a form of listening, tuning into a language written in stone, soil, and sediment. It is a conversation across millennia between the builders of monumental landscapes and the modern explorers who interpret them. The data collected transforms our understanding of scale, planning, and cultural persistence. At Gunung Padang, for instance, layers extending dozens of meters deep suggest a construction tradition far older and more ambitious than previously imagined, challenging assumptions about the development of complex societies in this region. Ultimately, technology allows the Earth itself to become a storyteller. It reveals that the hidden pyramids, once invisible beneath erosion, vegetation and sediment, are still very much present. They wait not for excavation alone, but for methods that read their memory without destruction. Through GPR, ERT, seismic tomography and LiDAR, the past begins to speak, whispering tales of human ambition, adaptation, and endurance that have survived the silent patience of nature. The Earth, long concealing, now becomes a collaborator in rediscovery, offering up monumental achievements to those who have learned to listen with science, precision, and patience. Where once there were only hills and slopes, the pulse of radar, the hum of electrical currents, the reflection of lasers, and the echo of seismic waves reveal geometry, depth, and human intention. Through these instruments, every hidden terrace and buried stone communicates its story, proving that beneath the green veil of forests and the soft contour of hills lie civilizations that have endured in silence, awaiting the tools and curiosity that finally allow them to speak. Gunung Padang rises quietly above the West Java landscape, its terraced slopes partially visible among the trees, but what lies beneath is far more complex than the eye can discern. For decades, scientists have speculated about the hill's origins, first questioning whether it was entirely natural, and later, whether the visible terraces represented only a fraction of something far older and more deliberate. Over the past 20 years, extensive fieldwork, core drilling, and geophysical surveys have begun to reveal a layered chronology that challenges conventional understandings of human construction and the scale of early societies. At the surface, the terraces are unmistakable, stone steps aligned with precision, forming a platform that seems almost ceremonial. They are constructed with volcanic rocks, carefully placed and interlocked, showing evidence of organized labor and planning. Radiocarbon dating of charcoal and organic material from these terraces places them around 2,500 to 3,000 years ago, aligning them with known megalithic traditions in Indonesia. This period alone would mark Gunung Padang as one of the oldest monumental sites in Southeast Asia, predating many other known constructions. But beneath these visible layers, drilling has revealed a far deeper story. Core samples have extracted columns of soil, ash and stone, extending tens of meters beneath the surface terraces. Analysis of these layers shows alternating bands of volcanic rock and sediment, many of which appear deliberately placed rather than randomly deposited. Some layers are arranged in linear or grid-like patterns, with larger stones forming foundations that could support terraces or platforms above. Radiocarbon and luminescence dating of material from these lower layers suggests ages as much as 8,000 to 10,000 years old, predating the civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley. If these dates are accurate, they indicate that Gunung Padang may have been a site of monumental construction at a time when conventional history assumes humans were still in small, scattered communities. The implications of these findings are profound. The deeper, older layers indicate that humans in this region may have had both the knowledge and organizational ability to modify landscapes on a massive scale far earlier than previously believed. Rather than constructing a single platform, it appears the site was built up in phases, initial modifications to a natural hill, followed by additional terraces and stone arrangements over millennia. This layered approach mirrors what archaeologists have observed at other monumental sites, where successive generations added to and reshaped pre-existing structures, creating a palimpsest of human activity frozen in stone. Erosion and sedimentation have concealed much of this history. Volcanic ash from nearby eruptions, seasonal flooding, and centuries of plant growth have softened the angles of the terraces and buried the lower layers beneath meters of soil. The visible terraces, once assumed to be the full extent of the site, are merely the top of a carefully constructed pyramid of layers, each representing a distinct epoch of human modification. Without core drilling and remote sensing, these deeper layers might never have been discovered, leaving the hill to appear entirely natural. Geophysical surveys, including ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography, have added further nuance. They reveal anomalies in density and composition that match the patterns observed in core samples, confirming that the buried terraces and stone foundations are not random geological features. These techniques map the extent of the buried structures, showing that the site spreads across a significant area and suggesting that the visible terraces are just the tip of an enormous architectural endeavor. The alignment of stones, their regular placement, and the repetition of structural patterns are hallmarks of intentional design, not natural processes. Researchers have also noted subtle differences in construction materials and techniques between layers. Older levels often use larger, rough-cut stones, while more recent terraces incorporate smaller, more uniform rocks. These variations hint at evolving construction practices and possibly changes in social organization as successive generations adapted techniques to the challenges of scale, weight, and stability. Some layers may have served functional purposes, such as retaining soil or controlling water flow, while others appear ceremonial, forming platforms that could host gatherings or rituals. Together they form a timeline of human ingenuity etched into the hill itself. Despite these discoveries, debate continues. Some scholars question the interpretation of the deepest layers, suggesting that natural processes such as volcanic deposition or tectonic activity could produce stratified formations resembling terraces. Yet the combination of core data, geophysical readings, and visible structures creates a compelling case for deliberate construction. The consistency in stone placement, the organization of layers into terraces, and the evidence of human modification distinguish Gunung Padang from surrounding hills that lack such features. The hill is no longer a singular monument, it is a stratified record of human activity spanning millennia. The story of Gunung Padang invites a re-evaluation of what humans were capable of in prehistoric times. The conventional timeline of monumental architecture, which places the first large-scale constructions in Mesopotamia and Egypt around 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, may need to be extended. Gunung Padang's deepest layers suggest that early societies in Southeast Asia were experimenting with massive earthworks, platform construction, and possibly ceremonial architecture far earlier than previously documented. This challenges assumptions about the emergence of complex societies and the diffusion of architectural knowledge. As the layers are slowly mapped and dated, a picture emerges of a living, evolving site. Each phase of construction reflects a dialogue between humans and their environment. Stones arranged to stabilize slopes, terraces formed to accommodate social or ritual activity, and successive layers added to elevate the structure, both physically and symbolically. Nature's hand, the deposition of soil, volcanic ash, and vegetation, interacts with human labor, obscuring and preserving the work at the same time. The hill is both a monument to human effort and a record of the environment that surrounded it over thousands of years. Gunung Padang, once perceived as a simple terraced hill, now reveals itself as a complex, multi-layered structure bridging thousands of years of human history. Its chronology challenges linear narratives of societal development, suggesting that monumental construction, landscape engineering, and architectural planning were already taking place in remote regions long before the rise of historically documented civilizations. Each layer, each stone, and each terrace becomes a testament to the persistence, creativity, and ambition of human communities navigating time, environment, and the desire to leave a lasting mark upon the earth. The deeper the investigation goes, the more the site speaks. What was once a hill is now a narrative of construction, decay, renewal, and rediscovery. Gunung Padang's stratified layers offer a tangible link across millennia, connecting modern researchers to a continuum of human ingenuity. By studying the buried terraces, scientists are not only reconstructing the physical form of the monument, but also tracing a timeline of innovation, adaptation, and cultural evolution. In every hidden layer lies a question, a lesson, and a whisper of the hands that shaped stone into architecture, long before written history documented the human story. What do you think about this? Share with us in the comments section. Gunung Padang sits quietly atop a Javanese hill, yet it has become a focal point for one of archaeology's most polarizing debates. The claims surrounding its antiquity challenge not just regional history, but long-established timelines of human civilization. Radiocarbon and luminescence dating of deeper layers suggest that parts of the site could be as old as 8,000 to 10,000 years, potentially predating Göbekli Tepe, widely regarded as one of the earliest monumental human constructions. Such assertions, if verified, force a reconsideration of when and where humans first organized themselves into societies capable of large-scale architecture. But extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and here the lines between natural formation and deliberate human construction are hotly contested. For decades, Gunung Padang was perceived as a natural hill with scattered stone terraces. Its terraced upper levels, clearly constructed, fit comfortably within known megalithic traditions of Indonesia, dating roughly 2,500 to 3,000 years ago. These terraces alone would place the site among the region's significant ancient monuments. Yet beneath these visible layers, core drilling and geophysical surveys have revealed denser, more ordered stone arrangements extending tens of meters into the earth. Some researchers interpret these deep layers as evidence of earlier construction phases, perhaps the remnants of a truly monumental pyramid. Others remain unconvinced, attributing the stratification to volcanic activity, soil liquefaction, or other natural processes common in this tectonically active region. The debate revolves around several key questions. Are the deep layers deliberately arranged, or do they merely mimic patterns humans might recognize? Can repeated placements of volcanic stone, aligned terraces, and interlocking foundations arise naturally, or do they require organized labor? Advocates for the site's artificiality point to the uniformity of stone sizes in certain layers, their alignment along clear axes, and the repetition of patterns across the hill. Radiocarbon dating of organic material embedded between stones suggests that humans were indeed present during these periods. Critics, however, counter that volcanic eruptions, seismic shifts, and sedimentation can produce formations that appear structured when examined superficially, creating what they call a patternicity effect, where observers find intention in randomness. Another layer of complexity lies in the interpretation of dating results. Radiocarbon and luminescence techniques provide ranges rather than absolute dates. In the case of Gunung Padang, charcoal fragments or volcanic ash layers may reflect human activity nearby, but not necessarily organized construction at the site itself. Even proponents acknowledge that while some stones clearly show signs of manipulation, the deepest layers remain difficult to interpret. Resolving these ambiguities requires more extensive multidisciplinary research. Precise stratigraphic mapping, detailed material analysis, and comparison with similar megalithic sites. The stakes of this debate extend beyond Gunung Padang itself. Accepting its deepest layers as man-made would push back the known timeline of organized monumental architecture by thousands of years. It would suggest that humans in Southeast Asia were capable of large-scale landscape modification long before the rise of agriculture-based civilizations traditionally credited with monumental construction. Such a paradigm shift forces archaeologists and historians to reconsider the global narrative of civilization, questioning assumptions about technological development, social organization, and cultural diffusion. It also prompts a re-examination of other sites where massive mounds or terraces have been overlooked, disguised beneath centuries of vegetation and sediment. Skepticism, however, is a cornerstone of science. The extraordinary age attributed to Gunung Padang has invited scrutiny from geologists, archaeologists, and volcanologists. Many have emphasized that extraordinary interpretation should not outpace the evidence. Some suggest that the site may be a hybrid, a natural hill modified over millennia, where visible terraces represent recent human construction atop a landscape already shaped by geological processes. Others caution against the lost civilization narrative, arguing that human imagination can amplify the apparent significance of ambiguous features. At the same time, the controversy has spurred innovation in methodology. Researchers have employed ground-penetrating radar, seismic tomography, and electrical resistivity to distinguish stone formations from natural soil deposits. LiDAR mapping reveals terrace patterns hidden beneath thick vegetation, confirming that much of the upper hill is unquestionably human-made. Stratigraphic cores allow scientists to compare stone arrangements, density, and alignment at multiple depths, testing whether patterns are consistent with intentional construction. These methods, applied rigorously, can gradually narrow the line between natural formation and human handiwork. Gunung Padang's case also illustrates how cultural context shapes interpretation. In Indonesia, local folklore and historical awareness acknowledge megalithic traditions, encouraging exploration of the site's complexity. Internationally, however, extraordinary age claims encounter skepticism rooted in established timelines of civilization. The clash between these perspectives underscores the tension between open-minded inquiry and methodological caution. Accepting ancient human construction deep within the hill requires a careful balance, acknowledging the possibility without abandoning scientific rigor. Ultimately, the debate over Gunung Padang reflects a broader challenge in archaeology: how to interpret landscapes that have been transformed both by nature and by humans across millennia. Hills may conceal terraces, volcanoes may mimic platforms, and centuries of plant growth can erase the evidence of labor once visible. Separating nature from human intention demands patience, technology, and an interdisciplinary approach. Each stone, each layer of sediment carries potential clues, but interpreting them correctly requires avoiding assumptions while remaining open to discoveries that could rewrite our understanding of early human capability. The discourse surrounding Gunung Padang emphasizes the dynamic, self-correcting nature of science. Controversy is not a sign of failure, but a mechanism through which hypotheses are tested and refined. Whether the deepest layers are ultimately deemed natural or artificial, the investigations have expanded methodological horizons, demonstrating how instruments can reveal hidden structures and stratigraphy can illuminate timelines inaccessible to the naked eye. In probing this site, archaeologists are not only exploring a hill, they are exploring the limits of knowledge itself. As the research continues, Gunung Padang remains a symbol of uncertainty and possibility. It embodies the tantalizing question at the heart of archaeology. How can we distinguish the hand of humans from the shaping forces of the earth when time has blurred the distinction? Each measurement, survey, and excavation adds data to the puzzle, yet the final picture remains elusive. In the intersection of geology and human ingenuity, the hill stands as both monument and enigma, reminding us that the story of civilization may be far more intricate and ancient than we have dared to imagine. Scattered across the globe are hills and mounds that whisper of human hands long vanished beneath soil, grass, and trees. Beyond the sprawling volume of Cholula and the enigmatic terraces of Gunung Padang, other sites hint that the phenomenon of pyramids disguised as mountains is far from isolated. In Indonesia, Lebak Cibadug in Banten offers one such glimpse. From afar, it appears as a natural rise in the landscape, a gentle hill softened by centuries of vegetation. Yet closer inspection reveals stone terraces, retaining walls and platforms that evoke the familiar silhouette of a stepped pyramid. The site is small compared to Gunung Padang, but its form and context suggest deliberate shaping, perhaps for ritual or ceremonial purposes, mirroring the ways humans across the world have transformed their environment to convey social or spiritual meaning. Like many of these hidden monuments, erosion and vegetation play dual roles as both preservers and concealers. Tropical rainfall washes soil down slopes, smoothing angles over centuries, while fast-growing trees and vines anchor soil that would otherwise wash away, wrapping artificial contours in a cloak of apparent naturalness. When early visitors or colonial explorers first encountered these sites, they often dismissed them as mere hills. Only the patient work of archaeologists, using a combination of surface survey, excavation, and geophysical techniques, gradually reveals the man-made structures concealed beneath. At Lebak Sibedug, carefully mapped terraces, stone steps, and altar-like constructions point to a culture with the knowledge and skill to manipulate stone and landscape, even if the specific chronology remains debated. Another Indonesian example is Pugung Raharjo on Lombok, whose large terraced mound rises prominently in the open, rather than being cloaked in dense forest. Its layered platforms show how erosion and centuries of cultivation can still mask details of construction, blurring lines between natural mound and human creation. Archaeologists initially misunderstood the scale and purpose of Pugung Raharjo until extensive excavation revealed ceremonial enclosures, stone structures, and artifacts, demonstrating how even partially visible terraces can conceal significant cultural achievements. Across Southeast Asia, numerous lesser-known sites exhibit similar patterns, earthworks and stone foundations hidden beneath soil and vegetation, waiting for modern methods to uncover their secrets. The phenomenon is not limited to Indonesia. In Central and South America, smaller mounds scattered throughout the Yucatan, Veracruz, and Guatemala sometimes reveal pyramid-like forms only when vegetation is removed or LiDAR scanning exposes their outlines. In these tropical climates, dense forest can make even enormous structures appear as nothing more than natural undulations in the terrain. While Cholula remains the most dramatic case, dozens of smaller, partially buried pyramids and ceremonial mounds sit quietly beneath grass, soil, and jungle, often known only to local communities. The discovery of each new site challenges assumptions about how civilizations engineered their landscapes and managed their environment over centuries. Understanding why these monuments are hidden requires appreciating the subtle interplay of natural processes and human construction. In places like Lebak Sibedug, soil accumulation over centuries can create a layer of meters in depth, while roots and mosses stabilize the surface, giving the illusion of a purely geological formation. Seasonal floods and landslides further mask the shape, filling terraces and leveling walls. Even when artificial stones peek through, their placement can be misinterpreted as random rockfall or natural outcropping. Only by combining local knowledge, historical records, and modern technology, ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR, and careful excavation, can archaeologists separate human design from the tricks of nature. What makes these sites especially compelling is the recurring pattern across regions and cultures. From the Andes to Java, from Mexico to Borneo, humans have repeatedly modified hills into platforms, terraces, and pyramidal shapes, often for ritual, ceremonial, or astronomical purposes. The underlying logic seems consistent. Elevate the sacred above the mundane, structure the environment to reflect cosmology or power, and ensure durability across generations. Over time, however, the very durability that preserves the structures also conceals them, as soil, vegetation, and erosion smooth rough edges into the contours of ordinary hills. The result is a hidden architecture waiting silently for discovery. Rediscovering these sites is rarely instantaneous. In many cases, it is the combination of technological advance and careful observation that brings them to light. LiDAR, with its ability to penetrate forest canopy, has revealed terraces and foundations previously invisible, while ground surveys confirm and contextualize the data. In places like Lebak Sibedug, researchers must navigate thick undergrowth and unstable slopes, painstakingly recording terraces, steps, and stone alignments. Each site provides its own clues, and no two concealment patterns are identical. The ingenuity of ancient builders, coupled with the relentless hand of nature, creates unique challenges for modern science. The existence of multiple hidden pyramids also prompts a deeper question. How many monuments lie undiscovered across the globe? If Cholula, with its immense volume, could be mistaken for a simple hill for centuries, it is likely that smaller, less conspicuous pyramids have escaped notice entirely. Remote sensing and aerial survey have only scratched the surface. Vast regions of dense forest, highlands, and even arid plains remain unexplored at the resolution required to detect subtle contours. Every new discovery reshapes our understanding of human history, revealing that the manipulation of landscape and the construction of monumental forms was far more widespread than previously assumed. Moreover, these hidden pyramids challenge perceptions of how humans interact with their environment. They are testimonies not only to technical skill, but also to patience, planning, and the desire to integrate construction into natural surroundings. In blending architecture with landscape, these ancient builders inadvertently ensured their creations would survive and simultaneously remain hidden. This duality, durability and disguise, is what makes sites like Lebak Cibadug and Pugung Raharjo so fascinating. They remind us that the past is layered not only in sediment and stone, but in perception itself, awaiting tools and insight to reveal it. As researchers continue to study these subtle forms, each site contributes to a growing understanding of hidden civilizations. From Indonesia to Mexico, the recurrence of pyramidal hills suggests a global phenomenon where the line between nature and culture is artfully blurred. These monuments, silent yet monumental, are more than archaeological curiosities. They are reminders that human ingenuity often leaves traces too subtle for casual observation. The more we look, the more we realize that the earth itself is a library of forgotten architecture, its pages written in stone, soil, and vegetation. Beneath the gentle slopes of Cholula, a world exists that remained invisible to the eye for centuries. What the casual observer sees as a simple hill conceals a labyrinth of tunnels, chambers, and ceremonial spaces, stretching for kilometers beneath the grassy surface. Archaeologists, working with painstaking care, have carved passageways that penetrate the earth, revealing the hidden heart of the Great Pyramid. Each corridor, lined with walls of adobe and stone, speaks to the monumental effort required to build not only above ground, but deep within the mound itself. The scale of construction is staggering. Massive terraces support the weight above, while narrow tunnels wind through the interior, connecting chambers that were once centers of ritual, worship, and social activity. The process of uncovering these spaces has been delicate and methodical. Rather than attempting to excavate the entire pyramid, researchers have relied on creating tunnels that snake through the mound, both to preserve the structure and to gain insight into its organization. These passageways act like a window into the past, allowing scientists to study layers of construction, observe changes in building materials, and trace modifications made over centuries. In some cases, archaeologists have discovered that walls were reinforced repeatedly, terraces expanded, and new ceremonial areas integrated into older designs. Each modification tells a story of continuity, adaptation, and reverence for tradition. Exploration of Cholula's interior also reveals astonishing feats of engineering. Adobe blocks, carefully shaped and fired, form the walls of chambers designed to withstand the pressures of the massive mound above. Some tunnels twist and turn to accommodate earlier structures, while other chambers are open and spacious, suggesting their use for large gatherings or ritual events. The architects of this buried pyramid demonstrated not only technical skill, but a deep understanding of structural integrity. They knew that a monument of this size, built over generations, needed careful planning and the foresight to prevent collapse. The hidden corridors are a testament to that knowledge, a silent network of human ingenuity buried beneath centuries of earth. Archaeologists have also documented the layering of construction materials, which provides insight into how the pyramid grew over time. Early phases consist of compacted earth and mud brick, forming the foundation for later terraces. Subsequent layers include more refined adobe, stone revetments, and ceremonial spaces, suggesting that the builders were continuously reshaping the mound to accommodate evolving religious and cultural practices. These successive layers offer a chronological map, allowing scientists to trace the development of Cholula from a modest ceremonial center to the monumental man-made mountain that now hides beneath the hill. The tunnels themselves are filled with subtle signs of ritual activity. Carved altars, niches, and remnants of offerings point to the spiritual life of the people who inhabited or visited the pyramid. In some chambers, archaeologists have uncovered traces of painted decoration, suggesting that the interior spaces were not merely functional, but also imbued with symbolic and aesthetic significance. Passageways were not only structural conduits, but also sacred pathways, guiding participants through ceremonies that link the terrestrial and the divine. Beyond the physical revelations, the subterranean exploration of Cholula reshapes how we think about human interaction with landscape. The pyramid was not simply a visible statement of power or devotion. It extended underground, integrating the earth itself into its design. This duality, above ground and below, public and hidden, reflects a sophisticated understanding of space, symbolism, and human perception. Visitors centuries ago might have walked past the hill unaware of the vast network beneath, yet the builders ensured that their sacred architecture endured, protected by earth and time. The scale of Cholula's hidden corridors also emphasizes the astonishing labor invested over generations. Construction was not the work of a single lifetime, but the cumulative effort of countless individuals, each contributing to terraces, walls, and chambers. The tunnels reveal evidence of repeated maintenance, suggesting that these spaces remained in use and held significance long after the initial construction. Tools, marks, repaired walls, and modifications all hint at a living, evolving structure where human activity was continuous, methodical, and deeply connected to the surrounding landscape. Exploring the pyramid underground also highlights the challenges posed by its concealment. The exterior, eroded and softened by centuries of vegetation, gives no hint of the interior complexity. Without tunnels or advanced sensing technology, the hidden chambers would remain invisible, even to the most observant visitor. This interplay between concealment and discovery underscores a central theme. Human ingenuity can create monuments that endure both physically and perceptually, hiding their secrets while simultaneously preserving them for future generations to uncover. As researchers move through these subterranean corridors, they encounter layers of history carefully preserved by earth and time. Each chamber, each passageway, tells a fragment of the story: how a community organized labor, how it expressed spirituality, and how it interacted with its environment. The Great Pyramid of Cholula is not only a physical structure, but a chronicle etched in adobe and stone, a narrative of ambition, devotion, and continuity. The hidden tunnels also inspire reflection on other lost monuments. If Cholula, so vast in scale, could remain concealed beneath a seemingly ordinary hill, then what of smaller pyramids and ceremonial mounds elsewhere? How many have yet to be revealed by modern technology, buried beneath centuries of soil, sediment, and vegetation? The work beneath Cholula offers both a blueprint and a challenge. It demonstrates what is possible in terms of preservation and disguise, while hinting at a world still largely unexplored. Through meticulous excavation, scientists have gradually illuminated the vast hidden interior of Cholula's pyramid. Miles of tunnels, elaborate chambers, and ritual spaces reveal a monument of staggering size and complexity, far exceeding what the hill above would suggest. This hidden world offers not only technical and architectural insights, but a profound sense of human creativity and perseverance. In these subterranean corridors, the past speaks in walls and passageways, telling stories that centuries of earth and grass had sought to conceal, waiting for patient eyes to uncover them. The discovery of Cholula's underground network reshapes our understanding of pyramidal construction. It demonstrates that monumental architecture can exist in layers, both above and below ground, blending seamlessly with the landscape while maintaining structural integrity and cultural significance. The tunnels and chambers remind us that the visible world often conceals hidden histories, and that human ingenuity can create wonders meant to endure, even when buried beneath time itself. What do you think about this? Share with us in the comments section. Beneath the layers of soil and vegetation, the pyramids of Cholula, Gunung Padang, and other hidden sites are more than architectural marvels. They are profound reflections of human intention, belief, and resilience. To understand why these enormous monuments were built, and sometimes allowed to fade into obscurity, we must look beyond stone and mud brick to the people who shaped them. What drove communities to dedicate generations to building enormous terraces, chambers, and ceremonial spaces, often over uneven natural hills or rugged terrain? The answer lies in a combination of spirituality, social cohesion, memory, and the human urge to leave a mark on the world. In the case of Cholula, the man-made mountain is not only the largest pyramid by volume, but also a repository of centuries of religious and cultural practices. Each terrace and chamber represents the layered complexity of successive societies. Early builders established a ceremonial core, later generations expanded and reshaped it, and yet later civilizations repurposed the site for new rituals or practical uses. These cycles of construction and adaptation reflect an understanding that monumental architecture is a living process, intimately tied to the community's identity and memory. The hill's eventual concealment beneath vegetation was not necessarily seen as loss, but as transformation. What was once a visible symbol of power and devotion became a quiet testament, blending with the landscape while retaining sacred resonance. Similarly, Gunung Padang in West Java reveals how human ambition can merge with the natural world. The terraces and deep layers of stonework suggest generations of people interacting with the hill, both shaping it and being shaped by it. Some researchers propose that the deliberate layering of terraces, stones, and fill material was intended to create a sacred space accessible only in stages, guiding participants from the earthly to the spiritual. The concealment under centuries of sediment and plant growth may have been accidental, yet it also preserved the site for millennia, allowing the structure's full complexity to survive against the erosive forces of nature and human neglect. These hidden layers speak to the ways humans encode meaning into the landscape, leaving messages not only for contemporaries, but for distant generations yet to uncover them. The cultural imperatives that drive pyramid building often combine practical, spiritual, and social functions. In many ancient societies, constructing a monumental mound was a collective act of devotion, a way to organize labor, reaffirm social hierarchies, and maintain connections with the divine. The act of building itself becomes a ritual, a shared story, a communal identity. At Cholula, the subterranean chambers may have housed ceremonial practices that invoked memory and ancestry, connecting those above ground with ancestors below. In West Java, the terraces of Gunung Padang may have marked sacred pathways, stages of initiation, or ceremonial progression. Each stone, carefully placed or terraced, carries with it a human intention, a deliberate negotiation between the earthly and the spiritual, the visible and the hidden. Cycles of catastrophe and abandonment further shape the story. Natural disasters, shifting climates, and societal upheaval often left monumental sites incomplete, neglected, or intentionally sealed. At Cholula, volcanic eruptions and changing political landscapes may have led to periods when the pyramid was abandoned or forgotten, allowing sediment and vegetation to mask its form. Gunung Padang may have experienced similar cycles of neglect, with terraces buried under centuries of soil deposition. Such processes reveal an underlying human recognition of impermanence. Even monuments designed to endure can succumb to time, Yet in their concealment, they acquire new layers of meaning, becoming both historical record and cultural palimpsest. Buried pyramids also challenge our assumptions about memory and visibility. In many ancient cultures, the act of burying or encasing a structure could itself be intentional, a means of preserving sacred knowledge or controlling access to ritual spaces. By merging architecture with the landscape, communities could create spaces that were both powerful and secret, visible only to those with knowledge of the terrain or spiritual insight. The man-made mountains become repositories not only of labor and devotion, but of ideas, cosmologies, and social codes. They are archives of human experience, encoded in earth, stone, and subterranean corridors, waiting for later generations to interpret and understand. These hidden monuments underscore a universal human impulse to leave a legacy that transcends immediate perception. Builders shape the earth not merely to assert dominance, but to anchor memory, to create continuity across generations. Whether consciously or unconsciously, the concealment of these pyramids by erosion, vegetation, and soil represents a dialogue with time. The builders knew that monuments would face decay, yet they invested in forms that could endure even in hidden states, challenging future societies to uncover and reinterpret them. Each discovery becomes a moment of reconnection, a chance to hear the voices of the past echo through tunnels, terraces, and buried stonework. The human story behind buried pyramids also illuminates the ways in which rituals, memory, and architecture intersect. The subterranean corridors of Cholula, the terraced layers of Gunung Padang, and the hidden platforms of Lebak Cibadug are not simply functional spaces. They are stages for ceremonies that connect humans with cosmic order, ancestral spirits, and the cycles of life and death. The decision to continue building atop existing layers, sometimes over centuries, reflects a long-term vision of cultural continuity. These constructions are cumulative, living monuments that absorb changes in belief, leadership, and society, while preserving the fundamental purpose of their creation, to link people to each other, to the land, and to forces beyond. Through these hidden pyramids, we gain insight into how ancient societies understood the relationship between human action and the landscape. Mountains, hills, and mounds were not passive backdrops. They were canvases for cultural expression, monuments to collective will, and repositories of sacred meaning. By embedding monumental architecture within the terrain, these civilizations ensured that their creations would endure, even if obscured from immediate view. The earth became both medium and guardian, simultaneously sheltering and preserving the cultural and spiritual heritage of the builders. Ultimately, the story of buried pyramids is a story of human aspiration, resilience, and imagination. Cholula, Gunung Padang, and other hidden sites remind us that people have always sought to connect with forces greater than themselves, to organize collective labor toward monumental goals, and to encode memory, belief, and identity into the landscape. The concealment of these structures does not diminish their significance. Rather, it amplifies the mystery and the depth of human intention. In their hidden forms, they challenge us to reconsider what constitutes visibility, permanence, and legacy. Buried pyramids are more than stone and earth. They are mirrors of the human mind, repositories of cultural memory, and enduring symbols of our species' desire to leave a mark on the world. In revealing them, archaeologists do more than map layers of stone. They uncover the profound ways humans negotiate time, space, and meaning. Each hidden mound, each terraced hill speaks to our ancestors' vision, ingenuity, and belief, offering us a chance to step into their world and witness the enduring dialogue between people and the land they shaped. Across dense forests, rolling plains, and rugged hills, the search for hidden pyramids has entered a new era. Technologies once confined to laboratory or military use now allow archaeologists to peer beneath the vegetation and sediment that have concealed human constructions for millennia. Aerial LiDAR, in particular, has revolutionized our understanding of landscapes long thought to be natural. By sending millions of laser pulses from aircraft and measuring the time it takes for them to bounce back, LiDAR can generate precise three-dimensional maps of terrain. This allows researchers to see through dense canopy, revealing terraces, platforms, and linear patterns invisible from the ground. In regions like the Maya lowlands, LiDAR has uncovered networks of roads, causeways, and pyramid bases previously hidden under forest cover. While these discoveries are far from the pyramids of Cholula or Gunung Padang in scale, they illustrate how easily human constructions can be masked by time and nature. Satellite imagery adds another dimension to this search. High-resolution optical satellites capture subtle variations in vegetation health, soil color, and moisture, which can indicate buried structures. Crop marks, for example, form when subsurface walls or foundations alter soil moisture and vegetation growth, leaving faint geometric traces visible from above. Multispectral and hyperspectral sensors extend this ability further, detecting wavelengths of light beyond human vision to identify differences in mineral composition or vegetation stress caused by hidden architecture. When combined with machine learning algorithms, these datasets allow computers to scan enormous regions and flag potential sites for closer investigation. Patterns that would take decades for human eyes to recognize can now emerge within weeks, guiding researchers toward previously unimagined discoveries. The use of ground-based remote sensing complements aerial and satellite approaches. Geophysical surveys like ground-penetrating radar, electrical resistivity tomography, and magnetometry can detect walls, cavities, and other structures beneath soil and sediment without excavation. At sites like Gunung Padang, core drilling combined with geophysics has revealed multiple buried layers of stonework, suggesting construction phases that extend deep beneath the visible terraces. Elsewhere, archaeologists are combining these techniques to explore mounds, hills, and plains in regions long assumed to be untouched wilderness. Each survey uncovers not only evidence of human labor, but also questions about the scale of civilizations that have long vanished from memory. Some of the most tantalizing finds are those that challenge our expectations of what a pyramid should look like. At Cholula, the largest pyramid by volume remains largely concealed beneath a hill, and Gunung Padang appears as a terraced slope until remote sensing reveals its deeper structure. These examples suggest that even modest hills, misidentified as natural formations, might conceal substantial architecture. Archaeologists are beginning to realize that regions with dense vegetation, heavy sedimentation, or complex geological formations could harbor monuments hidden for thousands of years. In Southeast Asia, Central America, and parts of Africa, exploratory LiDAR surveys hint at potential sites with the characteristic geometry of terraces or pyramidal mounds, though verification requires careful fieldwork. The challenge of discovery extends beyond technology. Once a candidate site is identified, researchers must interpret data carefully, distinguishing between natural landforms and human construction. Hills can have terraces formed by erosion or landslides, and volcanic deposits can mimic geometric patterns. Human judgment combined with corroborating evidence such as stone remnants, ceramics, or inscriptions remains essential. Even so, the combination of remote sensing, satellite imagery, and machine learning is accelerating the pace at which hidden monuments can be found. Sites that might have remained undetected for centuries are now within reach, inviting archaeologists to ask new questions about the scope and sophistication of ancient civilizations. The potential scale of undiscovered pyramids raises profound questions about human history. How many monumental sites have been swallowed by time and nature? Could regions like the Amazon, the highlands of Southeast Asia, or the plains of Africa contain mounds or terraces that, like Cholula or Gunung Padang, have been misidentified as natural hills? Each technological advance increases the possibility that we are only glimpsing a fraction of human achievement. The more archaeologists look beneath the surface, the more the map of ancient human activity expands, challenging narratives of civilization, trade, and architectural skill. Equally significant is what these hidden pyramids can tell us about the societies that built them. Buried structures indicate labor organization, ritual practice, and long-term planning. Their concealment by soil, vegetation, or deliberate overbuilding may have been strategic, symbolic, or simply the result of environmental forces. Remote sensing does not just locate structures. It offers a window into construction techniques, urban planning, and cultural priorities. Each potential discovery reshapes our understanding of what ancient societies valued, how they interacted with the land, and how their monuments survived or disappeared under layers of time. Collaboration between disciplines is essential. Archaeologists now work with geomorphologists, ecologists, data scientists, and even aerospace engineers to interpret complex signals from above and below the ground. The combination of technological tools and interdisciplinary expertise increases the probability of identifying true human constructions amid natural formations. As a result, discoveries are not merely about mapping pyramids. They illuminate entire landscapes, showing networks of settlements, ceremonial centers, roads and water systems that indicate the complexity and reach of ancient civilizations. Even with these advances, much remains unknown. Every new site prompts questions about construction methods, labor investment, societal structure, and purpose. Remote sensing can reveal geometry and layers, but not the full story of human activity or belief. Ground investigation, careful excavation, and interpretation of artifacts remain indispensable for turning the outlines of mounds into narratives of people, culture, and history. The hidden pyramids uncovered today are the first hints of stories that have waited thousands of years to emerge, awaiting researchers patient enough to read the subtle traces left behind. The search for hidden pyramids is also a story of imagination meeting science, technologies that allow us to see beneath the forest canopy or the desert sands transform speculation into observation. Hills that once seemed natural are revealed as the handiwork of generations. Terraces, stone alignments, and buried chambers emerge from the data like whispers from the past, offering tangible proof that human ambition has long been both grand and hidden. Each discovery is an invitation to reconsider what we think we know about the spread of civilization, the capabilities of ancient societies, and the potential for monumental architecture to endure in forms that evade casual notice. As archaeologists continue to scan landscapes, the possibility grows that the Earth still holds pyramids and monuments concealed beneath layers of vegetation, soil, and sediment. These hidden structures challenge the idea that monumental architecture is always obvious or dominant. They demonstrate that human ingenuity can be both spectacular and subtle, leaving traces that persist even when obscured. The next generation of discoveries may reveal pyramids not yet imagined, expanding our understanding of human creativity, social organization, and interaction with the natural world. Across continents and millennia, the Earth carries traces of civilizations that may have existed long before the ones we know from textbooks. Sites like Gunung Padang and Cholula hint at human activity that challenges traditional timelines. If the deepest layers at Gunung Padang were constructed by people rather than shaped by natural processes, they could be tens of thousands of years old, predating Mesopotamia, Egypt, and even Göbekli Tepe. The idea alone reshapes our understanding of how early humans organized, built, and interacted with their environment. Such a discovery would suggest that monumental architecture, complex labor organization, and symbolic construction were not unique to the historically recognized cradles of civilization. The implications ripple across multiple disciplines. Anthropologists, archaeologists, and historians would need to reconsider the development of agriculture, settlement patterns, and social hierarchies. Conventional wisdom holds that monumental building emerged after farming allowed populations to stabilize. Yet the possibility of an earlier sophisticated society raises questions. Did humans organize into complex groups before the widespread domestication of plants and animals? Were there centers of knowledge and ritual that existed and then vanished, leaving only faint traces beneath hills and forests? Geological analysis at sites like Gunung Padang adds complexity. Deep terraces and stone layers are embedded in volcanic soil, some cemented and carefully arranged. Core samples suggest deliberate placement rather than random deposition, yet debate persists. Skeptics argue that natural processes, seismic events, or erosion could create similar patterns over thousands of years. Proponents highlight alignment, terraces, and stonework as indicators of intentional human effort. Regardless of interpretation, these features force a re-examination of what counts as evidence for ancient construction and how archaeologists define the threshold of civilization. Similar considerations arise at Cholula, where the massive pyramid was incrementally built over centuries. Its concealment beneath a hill demonstrates how human works can survive, and yet be nearly invisible, over vast stretches of time. Gunung Padang, with its deeper and older layers, suggests a scale of continuity and sophistication that could rival anything known from conventional historical periods. Both examples reveal the interplay between human ambition, environmental forces, and time, showing how easily monumental efforts can slip from collective memory. The question of lost civilizations also touches on cultural memory and oral tradition. Many indigenous cultures carry stories of ancient builders, sacred mountains, or mysterious constructions. While not always reliable as precise chronology, these narratives hint at long-standing recognition of monumental human works, sometimes preserved even when physical evidence is obscured. Hidden pyramids might correspond to these oral memories, bridging archaeology with anthropology and demonstrating that ancient societies may have been far more interconnected in their perception of landscape than we often assume. Reassessing human timelines also prompts philosophical reflection. If large, organized, and culturally rich societies existed far earlier than currently believed, it reshapes the narrative of human progress. Civilization would not have emerged in a single cradle, but could have appeared multiple times, independently, and perhaps even disappeared under climatic, geological, or societal pressures. Erosion, volcanic activity, or vegetation could have buried their monuments, leaving only subtle hints for modern technology to uncover. The hidden pyramids may be not just architectural feats, but messages across time, encoded in earth and stone, waiting for us to read them. Further evidence comes from global comparisons. Other sites, like the terraced mounds of Southeast Asia, South America, and parts of Africa, show that humans have repeatedly sought to transform hills and plains into monumental forms. While some of these are visible, many could be obscured, misinterpreted, or buried. Recognizing patterns across continents suggests that humans had both the ingenuity and the inclination to construct symbolic architecture long before formalized historical records. Gunung Padang might be a singularly deep example, but it fits into a broader pattern of lost landscapes shaped by human hands. This potential rewriting of history also emphasizes the importance of interdisciplinary approaches. Geologists, archaeologists, ecologists, and even engineers must collaborate to disentangle natural processes from deliberate construction. Dating methods, material analysis, and remote sensing together provide a more complete picture. Each layer of stone, each terrace, and each hidden passage adds data points that challenge assumptions about chronological limits, societal complexity, and architectural ability in prehistory. If these buried pyramids truly predate our accepted timelines, they call into question linear models of human advancement. The notion that civilization began in Mesopotamia or Egypt as the first centers of monumental construction becomes less absolute. Instead, we might view history as a more intricate tapestry, with parallel experiments in settlement, ritual, and architecture emerging independently in diverse regions. Some of these experiments endured, while others were swallowed by time, leaving only whispers beneath hills and jungle canopies. Ultimately, the possibility of forgotten civilizations reshapes not just history, but human self-perception. It challenges the idea that our ancestors were primitive until a sudden technological breakthrough, instead highlighting resilience, creativity, and complexity long before recorded history. Every core sample, every LiDAR map, every subterranean chamber reveals that human societies may have been capable of extraordinary achievement far earlier than previously recognized. These buried pyramids are not just archaeological curiosities. They are testimonies to ingenuity, endurance, and the capacity of people to shape the world in ways that defy both time and expectation. In contemplating these hidden monuments, one is struck by both their scale and their silence. They are enormous yet invisible, ancient yet enduring. Their presence forces a reconsideration of when, where, and how humans first organized to build monumental forms. Gunung Padang, Cholula, and similar sites may be only fragments of a deeper, largely hidden human story, one that suggests civilization in some form stretches further back than anyone has dared to imagine. These echoes of forgotten societies invite modern explorers and scholars to continue listening to the earth, to uncover layers that have long been silent, and to reconsider the very foundations of human history. Across valleys, plains, and jungle-covered hills, these buried pyramids stand as silent witnesses to time's relentless flow, forcing us to reflect not only on history, but on the nature of human existence itself. The act of building, transforming raw earth and stone into precise geometric forms, speaks to something intrinsic in humanity, the desire to leave a mark, to shape the world, to reach toward the eternal. When these creations are concealed beneath vegetation, soil, or centuries of erosion, they become both metaphor and mirror. They remind us that human achievements are never entirely permanent, that even our most monumental efforts can be reclaimed by nature, yet endure invisibly, waiting for rediscovery. Hidden pyramids provoke questions about memory and loss. Civilizations rise, flourish, and fade. Their records are scattered across fragments of pottery, worn inscriptions, or the uneven surface of a hill. Structures like Cholula and Gunung Padang evoke the fragility of human legacy. Centuries of labor, ingenuity, and ritual can vanish from sight, leaving only subtle hints for future generations. This concealment challenges modern assumptions about permanence and significance. The monuments are enormous, yet their invisibility underscores the idea that what matters may not be immediate recognition, but the persistence of form and meaning through deep time. There is also a symbolic resonance in the way these pyramids were designed and later obscured. Many were built in layers, terraces, or ascending levels, a reflection perhaps of cosmology, hierarchy, or spiritual ascent. When these layers are swallowed by soil or forest, the original intention is partially hidden, leaving us with both wonder and uncertainty. We are left to imagine the ceremonies, the labor, and the consciousness of those who shaped the stone, and in doing so, we confront the limits of our knowledge. The monuments become a dialogue between past and present, between human ambition and nature's patience. Philosophically, buried pyramids challenge linear narratives of progress. History often tells a story of continuous advancement, yet these hidden giants hint at a more complex reality, that knowledge, culture, and artistry may flourish in ways invisible to the outside world, then recede, only to be uncovered later. The Earth itself becomes a repository of human memory, a layered archive where every hill, terrace, or buried stone might carry a story. Rediscovery is not just scientific, it is existential, reminding us that the past is never entirely lost, but awaits attentive observation to be understood. There is also a personal dimension to encountering these structures. Standing above a concealed pyramid, one feels the weight of human endeavor juxtaposed with the humility of time. These monuments provoke awe not only because of their scale or age, but because they challenge us to consider our own impermanence. If civilizations can rise, hide their achievements, and survive in silence for millennia, what traces will our own societies leave behind? The hidden pyramids invite reflection on continuity, mortality, and the desire to communicate across generations, even when the audience is uncertain. The concealment of these monuments further elevates their philosophical significance. A hill that seems natural may conceal the world's largest pyramid. A terraced slope may hide millennia of construction. This invisibility encourages humility in observation. It reminds us that what we see in the present is only a fraction of reality, that understanding requires tools, patience, and imagination. Here, science intersects with wonder. Ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR, and core drilling unveil layers unseen by the human eye, bridging empirical knowledge with the awe of revelation. The hidden giants are both objects of study and symbols of how much remains undiscovered in the world. Buried pyramids also raise questions about knowledge itself. Were their builders intentionally leaving messages for distant descendants, or was concealment accidental, a result of environmental forces over time? Do these monuments embody lost wisdom, advanced techniques, or ritual practices that we may never fully comprehend? The ambiguity fuels fascination. Every stone and terrace is a reminder that human experience is complex, layered, and often invisible to those who come after. Rediscovery becomes not just an act of archaeology, but an act of empathy across the centuries, a connection between the present and the intentions, dreams, and labor of ancient builders. Culturally, hidden pyramids resonate because they subvert expectations. We expect pyramids to rise sharply from the desert or to dominate a cityscape, yet the silent giants remind us that scale and significance are not always obvious. They challenge our visual assumptions and invite a new way of seeing, to look not only at what is apparent, but at the subtle patterns, alignments, and textures of the earth. In doing so, we are encouraged to adopt a mindset of curiosity, patience, and respect for the depth of time. On a broader scale, these monuments suggest a universality in human ambition. Across continents and epochs, societies have sought to construct lasting forms that link earth and sky, mortal and divine, present and future. That some of these efforts are now hidden reinforces the idea that human creativity is resilient but also fragile, subject to forces beyond control. In contemplating the hidden pyramids, we confront the paradox of permanence and ephemerality. Great labor and artistry endure, yet they may remain unseen for centuries. Finally, hidden pyramids reflect something within ourselves. Just as hills conceal pyramids beneath their surfaces, our own minds and cultures carry layers of memory, knowledge, and experience, some of which remain obscured until carefully explored. The process of discovery, whether through archaeology or introspection, mirrors the uncovering of buried structures. In this sense, the hidden pyramids are both literal and metaphorical. They challenge us to consider what lies beneath the visible, to listen attentively, and to seek understanding beyond immediate appearances. The silent giants of earth and stone, concealed for millennia, teach that the extraordinary often lies hidden, waiting for patient eyes and persistent inquiry. They remind us that history is more than what is written or seen. It is embedded in landscapes, buried in layers, and encoded in forms that demand reflection. In their concealment, they inspire wonder, caution, and humility, inviting a dialogue across time that continues as long as we look, listen, and imagine. They challenge us to think not only about what humans have built, but why we build, what we leave behind, and what mysteries still await beneath the hills and forests of the world, and within ourselves. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey through the universe on frontiers of infinity. If this glimpse into the unknown has sparked your curiosity, be sure to subscribe and join us, where we unravel the darkest mysteries of space.